Nash Caldwell had always believed he knew Juniper better than anyone else in the world. After 5 years of marriage woven with shared laughter, quiet struggles, and a kind of intimacy built through late-night conversations and Sunday morning routines, he had grown certain of their connection. He still remembered the moment he asked her to marry him, how her eyes shimmered, how her voice trembled when she said yes. That memory had become a cornerstone of his life, a reassurance he leaned on. They had dreams, plans etched in overlapping futures. But all of that shifted one quiet evening, without warning, without drama, just a few casual words spoken over buttered bread. She had said it so lightly, almost offhand, as though she were discussing weather or errands. "I'm going out Friday," she murmured, spreading butter with slow, practiced ease. "Dinner with a coworker." At first, Nash blinked, waiting for context. A group outing, a work function, something to make it benign. But nothing came. Juniper just continued her motions, sipping her tea, her eyes not meeting his. Something about the ease in her tone made his chest tighten. There was no apology in her voice, no unease, just calm certainty. "It's just dinner," she added when he didn't respond. "It doesn't mean anything. I love you. This doesn't change us." Her words rang hollow against the silence that followed. Nash felt the air thicken between them. He heard the faint hum of the television in the background, but it might as well have been a roar. He looked at her, truly looked, and saw something unfamiliar in her eyes, a detachment, a quiet readiness. Not just for dinner, for confrontation, for change. "What?" he asked, his voice measured, though a storm was already swirling behind his calm facade. Her gaze flicked to his for a second. There was something behind it, expectation, maybe even hope for a fight. But Nash didn't take the bait. His years with Juniper had taught him restraint. He wasn't impulsive. He didn't explode. Instead, he inhaled slowly, deeply, and forced a small, unreadable smile. "I see," he said simply, lifting his glass of water and taking a slow sip. That was when she faltered, just barely. Her breath caught, her fork paused midair. It wasn't much, but it was enough. Enough for Nash to see through her mask. She hadn't come to him with honesty. She had come to provoke. He let the silence stretch, feeling its weight settle between them. She pretended not to notice, but Nash had learned long ago how to read her subtle tells. The twitch in her leg, the way she pushed food around her plate without eating. Her calm was cracking. "Maybe I'll go out with someone too," he said eventually, his tone so casual it almost didn't register as a threat. "Just to see what it's like." Her head lifted. The slightest flicker of shock crossed her features. "You met someone?" He shrugged. "There's a woman at the gym. We talk a lot. Might be interesting." He watched her face pale, the color draining from her cheeks. Her fingers tightened around her fork. The tables were turning. "Oh," she said, trying to keep her voice light. "I didn't expect that from you." Nash tilted his head slightly, studying her. "Funny, I didn't expect this from you." That landed. She didn't have a comeback. For once, the witty, poised Juniper was at a loss. Her silence spoke volumes. Nash knew then this wasn't about exploration or freedom. This was a power play, and she had never expected to lose. She tried to recover, lifting her chin and speaking as if they were discussing something inconsequential. "So who is this woman?" "I don't think it matters," he said, folding his napkin with slow precision. "If this doesn't affect us, I don't see why details are necessary." Her laugh was hollow. "So it's real?" "You said it wouldn't change anything," he replied, watching her carefully. "But maybe it already has." Juniper looked away, and for the first time, Nash saw uncertainty in her. Not just discomfort, but fear, and not fear of him leaving. Fear of losing control. The next few days felt surreal. They still moved through the house like a couple, sharing space, exchanging polite words, but the warmth had vanished. Their home, once filled with shared music and quiet laughter, now rang with silence. Juniper seemed to convince herself it was a bluff, that he was playing along to make her reconsider. But Nash wasn't pretending. His morning started earlier, his phone buzzed more often, his expressions more unreadable. He moved with a calmness she couldn't decipher. One morning, Juniper caught a glimpse of him in the hallway mirror, adjusting his collar with a care she hadn't seen in a long time. Then he smiled at his reflection or at a message on his phone, and that smile stayed with her all day. It unnerved her. That look was unfamiliar. Not the man she had teased, tested, or tried to control. This was a man slipping beyond her reach. "You seem happier lately," she commented casually that evening, pretending to watch the TV. "Do I?" he replied, not even looking at her. She tried again. "Busy, I mean, different. I guess I've been using my time better." The chill in his voice was sharp. She felt it in her bones. By Friday morning, she was teetering. When he sat across from her at breakfast and calmly said, "I'm going out tonight," she almost dropped her cup. "Oh," she whispered, fumbling for words. "With who?" "That woman from the gym." No hesitation, no apology, just the truth, plain and devastating. The rest of the day, Juniper drifted in a fog. Her messages to her co-worker went unanswered, not because he didn't respond, but because she couldn't bring herself to read them. She had started a game she no longer wanted to play. When Nash left that night, wearing a crisp shirt she hadn't seen in ages, the scent of his cologne lingered long after the door closed. Juniper sat on the couch, phone in hand, staring at the door, waiting, hoping, dreading. She told herself he would come back early, that it wouldn't go well, that maybe he'd remember who he belonged to. But he didn't come home until 3 a.m. When he finally walked through the door, he was quiet, calm. She jumped to her feet. "How was it?" she asked, trying to sound composed. "It was good." That was all. He didn't elaborate. He didn't look at her the way she remembered. He simply walked past her, as if nothing in their world had shifted, when everything had. The next morning, he was already up, sipping coffee, scrolling through his phone with the ease of someone unbothered. She approached him slowly, trying to find an opening, any crack in the armor. "You got home late." "I did." His indifference burned more than rage ever could. "Nash," her voice cracked. "What are we doing?" He looked at her, not with cruelty, not even anger, just a quiet clarity that chilled her. "You tell me this was your idea." She was trembling now, words falling apart in her mouth. "I didn't think you'd actually go through with it." He laughed, low and bitter. "What did you expect? That I'd beg you not to?" Her heart pounded, her hands gripping the back of the chair for balance. "I made a mistake. I didn't mean—" "I've thought a lot about that," he interrupted, standing. "About what it says that you even suggested this. What that means for us." She couldn't breathe. "I was wrong." "I know," he said softly. "And now so do I." He rinsed his cup, left it on the drying rack, and walked out of the kitchen. She followed, something inside her unraveling. When she entered their bedroom minutes later, she saw the papers on the bed. Signed. Her knees buckled. "Nash, please," she whispered, barely able to speak. This went too far. He didn't turn. "I forgive you for the date. We can forget this ever happened. Just say it didn't mean anything." Nash closed the suitcase with a finality that echoed in the room. "I don't need your forgiveness, Juniper," he said without turning around. "You taught me something. I don't want this life anymore." And with that, he picked up his bag, his keys, and walked out. The door closed behind him with a quiet click. That was the last sound Juniper heard before silence took over completely.